Guys, welcome back to our Truth Bumps. Hope the last session settled where it was meant to settle with you. Of course, if you are jumping Truth Bump sessions, please don't, because all these are definitely intended for you to listen in the particular order that I am delivering it. Just in case you've missed a few and you go, oh, this one looks interesting. The topic of making wholehearted decision is what today's about. So you might go, oh, wholehearted decisions. That sounds interesting. I might just jump into that one, even though I've missed out the last 5. Please don't do that, because I just, as I deliver these, I uncover different layers, and you'll definitely notice this. I mean, this is, I believe it's our 20th episode of the Truth Bump today. Some of you may be doing this for over 12 months, and you might see that the content that I deliver in, episode 40, for example, is going to be far, far deeper and different. And if you hadn't done the first, 39 episodes before that, then you're going to find yourself creating confusion, I guess. So, yeah, please listen to it in order. That's how it's intended. But at the end of the day, you're your boss, so you do what you need to do. But that's my suggestion. In case you are missing out on a couple, do listen to those couple that you have missed out before you listen to this one. So, yes, we are talking about wholehearted decisions, a big one. And everything that we have been speaking about really clicks into that whole topic of manifestation. Even last week, we talked about authenticity. And I said that, without having, your level of openness and authenticity or it really just depends. It will determine, I should say, not depends. It will determine how much of this that you can actually apply and really live. Because, someone's trying to manifest something they love, but they're sitting in fear about it and sitting in feeling unworthy. Well, it's not going to work, is it? Right? So, everything that I'm sharing with you guys works. I know this because I live this. I'm sharing this not from a particular book that I've read. Someone asked me the other day, I was at the gym, and they were like, what's your, because they know what I talk about, and said, what's your favorite book? What's a book that I should be reading? And I was like, kind of felt embarrassed for a sec, because I was thinking, just for a second, I was like, well, I'm not a big reader. But that's what I said. But to be honest, I don't read any of this stuff, and if anything, if something interests me to go read it, I feel it creates, I connect to what I'm reading, but all I want to do is connect to what I'm feeling about what I've got to share. And what I've got to share and how I'm feeling is a combination of what I'm living. So, not a big reader. Of course, I'll read aviation stuff and things that around it, but nothing about this. The last book I read was by Eckhart Tolle, which I'm a fan of. He's awesome, Mr. Tolle. I read and this was many years ago. I'm trying to work out how many years ago. It really was 2000. Let me think for a sec. When did I stop? When did I start speaking? 2000. Oh man, maybe 2010. So that's many years ago, good 13 years ago. I read his book, A Power of Now, and then I read A New Earth. And A New Earth, I loved that. It's you learn a lot about the ego in that, and really loved that book. So, if since we're talking about it, that's my recommendation. Only because it's probably the last book I ever read about this work, about self-realization, truth, intuition, any of these topics that I share about. That is the last book I read. So anyway, I recommended that book to the person who asked me about it at the gym. All right, guys. So we are going to talk about wholehearted decisions. Last session I did cover that, and this is a big one, because this is what allows your reality to bend. I speak a lot about that, bending your reality. I say that, manifest, things are coming in already, a couple of things that I talked about in the past. I'm just going to refresh us, re-highlight some of the things that I've spoken about in the past. Manifestation. Of course, all this falls under the topic of manifestation. Everything that I've been sharing since I started talking about manifestation falls under that umbrella of manifestation. I always say you're either manifesting or you're manipulating. Just want you to hold on to that, and just don't need to uncover it right now, but just maybe drop it into next time you're sitting down and having a moment of reflection, sitting down and actually intending to ponder. You're either manifesting or you're manipulating. Have a little think about that. And in particular, if you're doing this work with one of my facilitators in a coaching group, that's a good one for you guys to actually sit down and ponder on. So you're either manifesting or you're manipulating. And I also talk about that your reality bends around you. Like your reality bends around your feeling, the real you. Okay, we talked about the deepest level of authenticity is the real you. Okay, so your reality bends around that. So the moment you're in the real you, the moment you're being the real you, the reality bends around that. When you're not being the real you, when you're not being authentic, when you're playing an agenda, right? When you're manipulating rather than manifesting, you are bending around the reality. So what's the reality? The story. What's your physical reality? You bend around. What does it mean to bend around your reality? It means you need permission from the story. You need permission from your bank balance. You need permission from your boss. You're asking the story, please, can I do this? Can someone give me approval in order for me to do this? So, and this happens all the time, people, especially when I do my talks, they come up to me and they say, I really feel what you're saying, and I really feel that, we really have infinite possibilities, and that we are here to do what we love to do. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. And then they go, and you wait for it. They go, but, and the moment they say but, they're basically about to tell me what they've got their power in, and what they're bending themselves around. But I don't know anyone, or I don't have the money, or I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I don't have the right contacts, or I'm not smart enough, I'm not clever enough. And right there, that's you bending around your reality. So, really, I'll let that for you guys to sizzle with and let it ponder for yourself. Of course, I'm going to talk about this right now, but straight out, I'm just going to bring up some of the things I have spoken about in the past and just re-highlight some of those things. So the wholehearted decision. So when do we make a wholehearted decision? That's probably the first thing to speak about. When there's something within your heart, when there's a feeling, right? So when you feel like, and I mean the feeling, and I'll talk about this maybe in another episode. I sometimes find that, intuition is, sometimes people relate that to as the feeling. Sort of. I mean, yes, you could say it's the feeling, but the intuition has been influenced. And I'm almost like tempted to talk about this first, but maybe we'll talk about this in the next episode. But I'm just going to add that in there right now. The intuition has been influenced. It's been influenced by your past experience. So that's the past. So, and that's good because, you learn things in the past. You know what you're good at. You know what your strengths are. So, your intuition, like for example, you think to yourself, my intuition says I don't trust this person. Now, the reason you don't trust that person is because in the past you've had someone with similar mannerisms or similar clothing, or the way they're dressed, or the way they spoke to you, and you didn't trust that person, and they caused you harm or discomfort. So therefore, when a person comes into your life and you go, oh, my intuition is I don't trust this person. Now, I'm not saying your intuition is right or wrong. I'm just saying it's been influenced based on some of your past experience, which you may call wisdom, right? Now, the feeling is very, very different. I won't call it different. It's just, it's not influence. That's why I say it's very, very different. It's not influence. There is, like, when you feel something, it's, again, the only way I can relate this, where it's going to drop in for you straight away, is when you relate this to, someone you love. When you find someone you love, whether it's, your mother, your father, your brother, your siblings, or your wife or your husband, or, hey, someone, just a dear friend. When there's a love for someone, there's no reason. Now, you could go and find all the reasons and go, oh, it's because of, they're funny and they're charming, but those are things that you picked up after, because the truth is, the feeling of love for someone, you didn't create it. It's not attached to a reason. It doesn't have an agenda. We spoke about this in the last session, right? Love doesn't have a reason. Love doesn't have an agenda. Right there, you can actually relate to what I'm actually talking about. It doesn't have an agenda, so it doesn't have a reason. So when it's the feeling, it just is. When they say the truth is and love is, that's it. The quote is, love is. There's nothing else afterwards, because the moment you put something else after what love is, it isn't that anymore. The moment you say the truth is, and then you say what it is, then it isn't that anymore. So please understand that. I will definitely converse about this again in future truth bumps, or might actually dedicate a particular truth bump around intuition and the feeling. Now, I haven't heard anyone else talk about it that way, but I'm all about the feeling. I'm all about the intuition. It's what I study. And when I say what I study, it's not something in a book, because I haven't heard anyone talk about it that way in a book. So I can't read it in a book. I study myself. I study my own feelings. I'm present. And that's what studying yourself is you're present with yourself. You're honest with yourself. You're open with yourself. And all these things become, it reveals itself. So that's what I mean by study myself. So let's get into this wholehearted decision making, because in the last session I talked about when you're making a wholehearted decision, it's all heart. It's a decision based from your heart, again, the feeling, about the feeling, for the feeling. There's no reason. That's what requires a wholehearted decision. When it's a half-hearted decision, it's the feelings there, or let's call it intuition, whatever you want to relate to at this point. Let's say, I'm just going to use the word feeling. The feeling is there, right? But you can't make a decision based on that feeling. So you bring it into your head and look for the reasons, the pros and the cons, and how it's going to benefit you, and it's going to, give you what you want, or take you away from what you don't want. That's what you're doing. And your head is helping you to analyze why you should make a decision to follow this feeling, right? And you may find reasons. And the problem with that is that when you go to your head, if you're looking for reasons of why you follow this feeling, because once you go to analyze it, you go into the part of you that analyzes in duality. The feeling, it comes from oneness. There's only one. It's infinite, and there's only one, and that's why there's no reasons. Oneness is just is. So when you take it up to your head, it's a part of you that you use in your reality, and you analyze. And when you analyze, you're going to find two of everything. It's because you analyze in duality. So if you find reasons of why you should follow the feeling, well, good for you. But the challenge is if you're looking for reasons of why you should do it, you will also find potential reasons of why you shouldn't. Because both are there. It's hard not to see it. It's like, you're looking for you're trying not to look for the pink elephant in the room kind of thing. You're trying to not, if I say don't think about a pink elephant right now, if I'm telling you don't think about a pink elephant, what you do is you think about a pink elephant. So if you're trying to not look for the reasons of why you shouldn't follow the feeling, because you kind of want to follow the feeling, but you don't have the courage, and probably courage is not the right word. Courage is something that comes, the knowing of why you should, it's the knowing is not great enough, right? You don't believe in what you know. You know it, but you don't believe in it yet. And I'll talk about that in a second. So when the knowing's not great enough, you need reasons of why I'm going to follow this feeling. So that's what I call a half-hearted decision. Now, the problem, the challenge that I said there is that you think to yourself, no, I'm just going to look for the reasons of why I should. That's what I'm looking for. Because you don't want to find the reasons of why you shouldn't, but guess what you're going to find? Because if I tell you don't think about a purple elephant right now, you're going to think about a purple elephant. If you're trying not to look for the reasons of why you shouldn't, you're going to find them as well. Look, the point is, when you try to analyze it, all right, both answers are there. Okay. And furthermore to that, if you're really strong-willed and strong-minded and you can just go and find the reasons of why you should follow the feeling and that's going to help you to make a decision to go and follow your feeling. I mean, in your feeling that you want to follow the feeling. Like when you feel it, you feel the possibilities, you feel the enthusiasm, the energy, the inspiration, the love. You feel it. That's what's in the feeling, right? But you can't say yes to it because the knowing's not great enough. You don't believe in what you know. So then you take it to your head to look for all the reasons of why you should. And like I said, if you're strong-willed and you just disregard all the other reasons of why it might not work, and you just think about all the reasons of why it would work, the challenge now becomes when you find all the reasons of why you should follow your intuition, you may not be following the feeling anymore. Why? Because you're now following the reason of why you should follow the feeling. That's the next challenge. So yeah, go and analyze it as much as you like. Why should I let myself fall in love with this person? And you go, oh, well, they're smart, they're clever, they've made good money, they've made, we have great sex life and da-da-da. You have all these reasons and then you make a decision based on those reasons. Now you're following the reason. You're not necessarily following the feeling. You see? And when you're following the idea of following the feeling, for me, it's like it's the feeling presents itself moment to moment by moment. It presents itself. And then when you have a reason or even a plan, right? You're now fixated on that reason or that plan, and you're not present to the feeling, and you continue on that path. And before you know it, you're like, this doesn't feel what I thought it would feel. I thought it would be super amazing, but highly likely is that because you didn't follow the feeling, right? Yes, the feeling said to step this way. So then you find a reason of why you should step this way. And then now you're following the reason of why you should step this way. But then as you step that way, the feeling then went this way. But now you're still fixated at doing the thing, the reason of why you should follow the feeling, if that makes sense. So this is getting you to understand what the difference between a wholehearted decision and a half-hearted decision is. And when I say, you don't believe in what you know, it's up here. It's not like you don't use your intellect. You do. For me, when I'm making a wholehearted decision, up here, I'm saying yes to the feeling. I don't go look for the reasons, right? I just shared with you some of the challenges that you're going to be faced when you do look for the reasons. And even if you find the reasons, the next challenge is you may be now following the reason rather than following the feeling. So, and when I say you may be like doing that, you highly likely will be. I'm just trying to be nice and put it softly. Okay. But highly likely you will be now following the reason, which becomes, guess what? The agenda. Hey, guess what? You're now not authentic again about that feeling. If we refer back to the last truth bump, the last episode 19. So, okay, so hopefully, that's dropped in somewhat and you can grasp what I'm saying, because this is how you actually, I was going to, sorry. Well, I just want to make sure that believing in what you know. So the feeling is a knowing. The belief is that the knowing works. The belief is the faith in the knowing. The belief is the trusting in the knowing. And when the trust, or the whatever word you will call, I always say trust the process. I use that word trust. I'm not into the faith word, but when you trust the feeling, you begin to believe in what you know. Now, how do you trust the feeling? Well, you need to make enough decisions out of the agenda, out of reason, out of fear, to learn that didn't give you, it actually took you away from the feeling, right? And when you know you're not going to get what you're really looking for by making a decision based on reason or the agenda, when it comes to life, okay, things are, life matters here. We're talking about life. We're talking about who you are. When you realize that didn't get you what you want, you lose trust in the agenda. You lose trust in, but what if I can just go a few steps and around the corner, there's going to be this massive shiny diamond for me. You start to lose trust in that. And as you lose trust in that, you begin to, it's like it's got nothing else. When it's got nothing else, it's like, all right, well, let me see if I can believe in this feeling thing. And you start to make I don't necessarily wouldn't call it a conscious decision. It is all happening unconsciously, subconsciously, if you like. That, you know what, the feeling, I'm gonna trust the feeling. Only because the other shit just didn't work. That's what happens. I mean, hey, I'm talking about my own personal experience here. So it might be different for you. It might unfold different for you. But for me, I needed to know that there's nothing out there for me, and it's all here, and taking what's here out there. So to me, that's what I'm talking about when I say making a wholehearted decision is I am deciding to say yes to the feeling. You see, I don't need to go and bring it up into my head to analyze and look for the reasons of why I should. I love it. That's it. Why am I doing it? Because I feel it. Yeah, but what if it doesn't work? Yeah, but... And you see the journey that needs to take place for you to go yes to the feeling. So a wholehearted decision is you taking your head and saying yes. It's making a decision on what you feel to do. It's making a decision on what you feel or who you feel to be. You have no understanding. There's no reasoning yet. So you don't, like, the possibilities that you feel is purely based on the feeling. It's not on the story. That's how you make a wholehearted decision. It's saying yes to yourself, to your own feeling. It's not saying yes to why you should do it or yes to how it's going to happen. When I say yes to a feeling, I still don't know how it's going to happen. I don't. I don't necessarily see how this is going to unfold. I don't necessarily see a plan. I don't necessarily see the possibilities in my story yet. I feel the possibilities in my heart. But most people do not have the capacity to say yes to that feeling yes to that possibility until they can see some of that possibilities present themselves in the story. Oh, I've got the money for it. Oh, I can move the money here. Oh, there's so-and-so is going to invest in it. Oh, it's you're looking, I could keep going on. You're looking for the reasons of why it's possible, right? And the most beautiful thing happens when you truly say yes to the feeling. All the courage, the intelligence, the level of presence, like all the person that you need to become, you become it. Like the first thing that manifests is within your heart. Forget about the story. Most people go, I just want to manifest a story because when I can manifest a story and I'm successful, then I can become that person. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Because if you've become successful and you haven't become that person yet, you will feel like, what do we call it in the last session or so? That was in a different session. That was in a coaching session. The word's not coming to me. But you're not in the right skin. What's the word I'm looking for here? It will come to me whenever it needs to, if it needs to. So, you feel the only word that's coming to me right now is a fraud. You feel, even with all your success, you feel like a fraud. Like you don't even know why you have this success because you haven't become the person, right? It's you becoming the person first, and then the story bends around the person you've become. And all I'm saying to you is that when you truly have the capability, the capacity, the willingness, because those are the things that requires, to make a decision or to say yes to the feeling before you look to say yes to the story. Or the courage, the person that it's like you manifest yourself to become that person. As long as you stay with the feeling, you then become that person, then the story bends around you. And any success or any of the bending, that's what the bending of the story is. Any of the success that has come to you, you feel deserving of. You don't feel like you're a fraud. You don't feel like you're undeserving of that. Okay? So, most people think it's about saying yes to the feeling because then you can manifest it. But what you don't understand, or maybe you haven't dropped in yet, it's yes, that is true. It's about saying yes to the feeling because then you manifest yourself to become the person that you need to become in order for that story to then manifest, in order for that story to then bend around you. And that's why I say you're either manifesting or manipulating, because when you're not manifesting, you're looking to manipulate the story. It's not necessarily people. When I say you're either manifesting or manipulating, people think, oh, I'm not manipulating anyone. No, you're looking to manipulate the story. You're like, push it. Come on, make it happen. It's not about making it happen. It's about letting it happen. When you are manifesting, it's allowing it to happen. It's not about push, grind. That's what you do when you're bending yourself around the story. It's very, very different. So that's a wholehearted decision, And so, anytime I'm talking about or referring to oneness, it's not something that you can intellectualize. You really got to let what I'm sharing with you drop in and you feel it for yourself. In the WTF, I say, don't listen to my words. Instead, listen to where the words are forming from. Because if you can listen to where the words are forming from, you will feel what I'm saying and you will feel it in you. All right. And then you will feel it to be true because you felt it in you, not because I said so. So anytime when I'm referring to oneness, and a wholehearted decision is relating to oneness. You know, you're using your head to say yes to a feeling. That's what I do. That's what I live. Now, do I always do that? No. I mean, I've had things that, I've fallen back into, maybe old ways sometimes where I go back into, well, I don't know, let's look for the reasons or the possibilities of why I should do this. Is it going to work? Sometimes I fall into that. And then if it's truly important for me, I let it go and go, hey, come on, what's the truth here, Amir? I remind myself. So, and that's what I'm here to do, and support you guys and continue to remind you. So the most important thing is that, when there's a feeling for me, my biggest fear is not saying yes to the feeling and knowing that feeling needs to come out. When there's a feeling, there's something that's manifesting in the world. As a collective, we're manifesting as one energy, right? We're manifesting the one, right? And if I don't say yes to that feeling, or I go and follow the reason of why I'm following the feeling, that feeling just has to come out somewhere else. And, my biggest fear used to be that if I say no to this feeling, then it's not like every moment of your life there's a feeling. I mean, every moment of your life you can be present, and within the presence there is the feeling and you feel alive. But it's not every day it's moving you to do something. It's not every day it's like you feel moved to go, whatever it is. It's just sometimes I'm just sitting there and just being present with the moment, and I feel the feeling and I feel alive. You know what it feels like when you are being present. That's the feeling too. But it's not every day it's like coming up, and to me, that's inspirational. It feels like this feeling is there in me. It's me ready to express through me an idea, an expression. That doesn't happen every day. So when it happens, it's like my fear is, my fear was around this. It was to miss this opportunity. It's like, so whenever I feel that and it's there, it's like, if I don't follow the feeling 10 years later, I'm like, wow, 10 years has passed and I didn't follow the feeling. Because, the only reason you don't follow the feeling is, number one, you're not kind of aware what the feeling is, but you guys at this stage, you know what the feeling is, right? You're not like, this is not week one of our coaching, right? You know the difference between a feeling and an emotional reaction, I hope. Right? So the number one reason people don't follow is because they don't know it's the feeling. The number two is because they don't have the willingness, or they can't say yes to it. So then they go and look into the story. Don't look into the story until you've said yes. Don't get me wrong. You look into the story and there'll be plans unfolding, and there'll be, meetings and contacts, and, I don't know, whatever it is that the story will bend. And let's be clear about that. The story does bend. And just in case you get this and you're wooing it, right? It's like, I'm just trusting the feeling. I'm just trusting the feeling. If the story's not bending, you need to go back and go, what's happened here? Did I say yes to the feeling? Did I take it into my head and analyze it and then say yes to a reason? From my experience, the moment you say yes to the feeling, the first thing that happens is you start to believe. The belief in what you know becomes stronger. You start to have the courage. Like every ingredient that is required for that to manifest, you first start to become that person, right? And then through the person that you've become, things begin to bend. You meet the right person, you have the right conversation, etc., etc. The story bends, and you're like, oh, look at this, right? It doesn't just, nothing just, it's not like you're just sitting there and it's crickets and nothing happens, right? If nothing happens, you want to kind of look back at this, and but from my experience, something happens. The most important thing happens is when you say yes, you suddenly have the inspiration. It's like the ingredients in who you need to become starts to express itself through you. And you begin to feel, and you begin to have further ideas, further insights. You're becoming, like, not even becoming, you've become. Like the moment you say yes, you become that person. Now, yes, you can lose the person you've become because your attention goes back onto how we're going to make this happen in the story. And you're trying to bend yourself because that's just the way that's your old way. It's an old pattern, right? So the art is to stay with the feeling. The art is it's just like, yes, I'm doing this. And then look to see what shows up. Don't go look to make something happen. So anyway, I think I'm going on a tangent of manifestation there, but I think the most important thing for you is to grasp what a wholehearted decision is, and understand that when you do make a wholehearted decision, the most important thing that happens is that you become the person that you need to become in order for you to bend that reality. And don't get me wrong, like, you also become the person that you need to become through, through your journey, through your experience, you become, like, you go through, through your business or through whatever it is, a family thing, and you become the person you need to become because you're learning. That too, but this is different. What I'm talking about here is not the learnings. I'm talking about you believe. Like suddenly there's this belief that you don't even know where it came from. There's just this knowing. The knowing that this is going to happen is present. That's because you just became the person that you need to become. But that knowing doesn't happen until you said yes to the feeling. But most people want that knowing before they can say yes to the feeling. And all I'm saying is, no, you say yes to the feeling, then it's like you transform. You become, you then know. And people, like, it just comes out of nowhere. You just know. I just know this is going to happen. I just know that this is for me. I know I've been put on this planet to do this. I know this is my purpose. I know this is my role. I know this is my task. I know this is my next step. It's just there. And that knowing doesn't come from past experience. So don't confuse what I'm saying about the person that you become through experience, through the journey. I'm talking about like an instant gratification purely because you have said yes to the feeling. So when it comes to anything in life, the first step is making a decision. And if it's a feeling, if the feeling is present, you better make sure you're making a wholehearted decision. And look, if you don't, you learn. That becomes the learning. But ultimately, when you have the ability to make that wholehearted decision, you will become. That's all I need to say to you. You will become. And then it's just, the art is to stay with who you've become. And as you stay with that, the story will bend and it will reinforce who you've become. I wish you happy becomings. See you guys next week.